Welcome back to the podcast, you guys, and I'm here with Stix. He is a
What's going on,
wrestling
big man?
commentator. How's it going, brother?
It's going good, my guy. I didn't mean to step on your intro like that.
Oh, it's all good, man. It's hey, we're just having fun here. So, if you guys didn't know, Stix is a wrestling commentator. He's a wheelchair bodybuilder, and he has cerebral palsy like yours truly. So, welcome, brother. How you doing? What's up?
I'm good. It's a little early for me. I know it's afternoon, but I work nights I'm a DJ at a strip club, so I gotta
Nice,
wake up
man.
and get the stripper dust out of my eyes before I can do cool stuff like this. So I'm happy to be here, man. Let's get it.
Yeah, me too, brother. So, to kind of start off this podcast, what kind of, if you can share with us, what kind of cerebral palsy do you have? Like, what kind of CP were you born with?
So I was born with spastic diplegia, and it affects the lower half of my body, my balance, my hand-eye coordination. I get around pretty good. I think I have a pretty mild case. I think I'm a level one.
Not
So I
bad.
got really lucky in that. And then I've had a selective rhizotomy on my spine. I've had my hamstrings extended. I've had several eye surgeries to correct, my vision and things like that. So it's been a fun road. And you throw in, a good few years of physical therapy every week for however long. And here we are.
Oh yeah, man, I feel you. Believe it or not, I was born a spastic quad.
Oh,
I
wow.
wasn't supposed to walk at all. The reason I'm walking is because of 10 different surgeries I've had.
Yeah.
So, and I've had eye surgeries too, and a rhizotomy. I had a rhizotomy as well. It's so interesting how just surgeries alone and just the fact that we're so positive, um we can really push ourselves and people underestimate us.
I think when you live like we do, you kind of have to, man. You don't have a choice. What are you gonna do? You're gonna sit in a hole and sit on the couch and collect a check, or are you gonna try and make something out of life and go where you want to go and drag this some bitch along with you?
Exactly, man. We still deal with the stigma of, oh, look, you have cerebral palsy. Where isn't somebody? I get this a lot. Why isn't somebody taking care of you? Where's your family? Yada yada yada. And I'm like, oh, I got my own place. I have my own job. I do my own thing.
One
And
of my favorites is you ever go to the grocery store and somebody goes, "Well, how did you get here?" What do you mean, how did I get here? I drove. I have a car. It goes where I tell it to. Do you need
right.
help? No, man, I got it. I know what I'm doing. But I think ignorance, albeit ignorance, can be well mannered and well natured ignorance regardless. So I think everybody has good intentions, but my dad used to say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So you just got to take it with a grain of salt and go, oh, that's thanks for caring, but that was cute. Now get out of
Yeah.
my way.
My stepmom used to be the same way with me. Like every time I'd feel sorry for myself, she's like, I'm not sorry for you. My pity box is broken. I ain't gotta feel sorry for you. I know you. She gave me that tough love, and my dad did too, and that's how I ended up how I am today. Just because of them.
Yeah, I agree. I was adopted, so my parents kind of picked me. They were like, oh, we'll keep this little dumpster baby, and then they figured out I was a little extra complicated, and they still kept me around. So, but yeah, no, they were very encouraging, always. If there's something you want to do, go try and do it, but you have to understand that it's going to be harder for you than it is for anybody else. And if you go into it with that mindset, I think life, I don't want to say it's easier, but it's manageable as far as expectations and how you get through things. Because I think everything for us is a little bit of a higher mountain. So you have to walk into any situation knowing that. We do things differently. When we go into buildings, we know where the exits are. We look for wet spots. We know, how many chairs are in the room, and how do I get through this room, and where's the maze, and where's the bathroom, and all that stuff. It kind of happens instantly for me now. When I was a kid, I kind of had to, stop and pause and navigate and see, and just that adaptation that our life is I think I don't want to say makes us better, but certainly makes us more aware.
Right. It's like with me, I have to rely on landmarks to find things. Like once I like if I'm walking somewhere or going somewhere, it'll take me a few tries to get there. But once I figure out like a landmark to where it is, then it makes it a lot easier. Because if I don't see like something sticking out, like a certain sign or a certain color or anything, I can't find a certain place.
Right.
Like I'm very visual.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. I used to be horrible with directions. Now I spend so much time on the road with wrestling and working and stuff like that. I've become much better at it. But I think I'm very much like you. If I go somewhere twice, three times, I can remember. But Waze and Google Maps and all that is a great way to get through life if you're lost.
Right, especially I think now in Florida from I'm actually saving up for a Tesla myself. And I read that in Florida, I don't know how true this is, but it's legal for you to have it on the road even though you don't have a license because it's a self-driving car.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I Googled it and I'm like, no freaking way. And I kept, doing my research and I'm like, well, this is actually like legit, but it's only like a handful of states that's legal.
Right.
So it's like this is a groundbreaking for people like ourselves that I mean for me, I can't really drive because I have my spasticity. I don't know if it happens to you, but with me with loud noises, I'm really sensitive
Oh
and I
wow.
jump.
Yeah,
With
I'm
anything, I jump. And it's funny because people that don't know me, they get so concerned. They're like, "Are you okay? Oh my God." And I'm like, "No, you scared me." And I'll get real serious and they start laughing.
it's like that for me too, but like if you it's only if I don't know it's coming, right? Like I work in a
Yeah, there you
nightclub,
go. Like me.
so
Like me.
so I'm used to loud. Loud is my life. Wrestling shows are loud. Everything I do is loud, right? I'm a loud guy by nature. But like last night, I'll give you a prime example. I was in the DJ booth and I had asked one of the servers to bring me some ice and something to drink. She sneaks up behind me and she like whispered in my ear, and I didn't scared the hell out of me, man. She was like, "Oh, are you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, just it's part of the policy, man. It's part of the ride."
Yeah, it's one of those things, once you it's like with me, loud noises, once I get comfortable with it, then I'm fine. It's the same thing with you, right?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like I remember the first time I went to wrestling training, and that sound of the mat, the bang of the mat make it, the mat makes a real unique sound, almost like a gunshot, right? So when you're not used to it and you don't see it come in and you don't know it's about to happen, it can spook guys like us, right? But now it's one of my favorite sounds. That bang of the mat when somebody takes a bump is probably one of my favorite sounds.
Oh yeah, it's funny because I don't know about you, but I asked this. Duke asked me this on his show. How do you feel about accessibility in pro wrestling, like when it comes to you either being in a wheelchair or not being able to sit in your seat, and it's like your seat's a little farther up than usual, or you can't really stand up, so you see people standing up when a certain superstar gets like a huge superstar, and you can't see worth anything,
Right.
and or you want to go meet a superstar, for example. Like I told him about how I almost met Kenny, and I went down to where the security was, and I was not even 3 feet from where Kenny was, because I was trying really hard to meet him, and I had two of my buddies, like one of them in the front, one of them in the back, trying to protect me from, getting bumped and hit. And the security guard goes and says, "Oh, you guys gotta go." And I'm sitting there like, and I'm like, oh, I was so close. And I'm like,
Yeah.
if I had those couple seconds, I could have just used my cerebral palsy as an advantage and would have fallen over the guardrail and just like, Kenny, look at me.
Help me, brother. Yeah, no, I've had one really bad experience with handicap accessible seating when it comes to wrestling shows, but for the most part, I don't especially now working a lot of shows, I walk kind of everywhere, unless it's a convention, and then I'll use a scooter. But for the most part, I don't. I've never been shunned. I'm sure I get stared at, but like that's part of the deal, right? I mean, if they're gonna stare at you, you might as well give them a reason to stare, right? But I think aside from that one really bad experience, which happened at an AEW show, as a matter of fact, but
AEW?
yeah, yeah, it was a horrible. So they did a lot of shows at Daly's place here in Jacksonville
Yeah.
because Tony Khan owns the place. So
Yeah,
hey,
right.
why not save money on rent? The way they had the handicap seats on the first level were almost like floor seats. They weren't elevated. So when everyone stood up in front of me, I couldn't see anything. And that was the whole show. So I spent 85% of the show staring at somebody's ass. And that's cool and all, but if I want to go look at ass for free, I'll just go to the club, right? Like, why
Right.
not?
Oh man, like but for real, like there needs to be like I told Duke, like there needs to be stuff done with that when it comes to shows, theme parks, anywhere. It needs to be more accessible. Like, but it
Theme
all
parks.
really
I
starts
don't
with
even.
us, you know?
Yeah, I don't even do theme parks anymore because everybody's got a reason to use a scooter or use a wheelchair and skip the line and all the. Because it used to be cool, right? You used to feel like a VIP, like, oh, we're gonna go up the exit. They're gonna, take care of our crew. It's gonna be fun, right? Like I don't know how old you. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay, so I'm 37. So when we were kids, right? If you went to Disney World, and if you don't know this, now you know. But when we were kids, if you went to Disney World, you had a wheelchair, you had a scooter, you had something, they would bring you up the exit and say
Yeah.
how many people in your
Yeah.
party, and you could wait, and then they'd put you on the ride, and you didn't have to wait in line with all the sweaty, fat hogs in line with turkey leg juice all over their shirts. So
Yes.
it was really cool. You felt really special. You felt like a VIP. Now everybody's got a scooter, everybody's got a wheelchair, everybody's got a doctor's note. So there's three lines now instead of just one and the exit. So a bunch of fakers ruin it for the real guys like
Hey,
you and me,
for
which I
real.
absolutely hate.
Yeah, like it just really diminishes experience and
Yeah.
anything. Like,
Now I don't even go. Now why? Why would I want to go now? You're all fakers.
yeah, man. So for you, I know you've been in wrestling for a while, and you meant we talked a little bit about this off air that you have been into wrestling since you were a kid. Is it something that kind of that passion kind of helped you cope with your cerebral palsy, and it kind of encouraged you to be like, hey, you know what? I can pursue this, and I'm gonna do everything I
I
can
think,
to do so.
yeah, I think so. It's a really weird story. I say this, wrestling saved my brain. When I was a kid, I was picked on a lot, right? We had just moved from Texas to Florida. I was the new kid in school. I was also the kid in the wheelchair in school. So a little extra. So I was getting picked on hard. And after one particularly bad day, I don't know if I should tell. I'll tell a story. Why not? It might help somebody,
Yeah,
right?
you can.
So I was in the bathroom in Florida. A lot of schools are spread out. So like hallways are actually outside and they're covered walkways and there's a lot of portables and stuff. So I was in a bathroom portable and I was in the handicap stall and a bunch of guys came in. I don't know how many, three or four guys came in and they saw my wheelchair at the stall. So they held the door shut and they dipped paper towels in the urinals and
Wow.
they threw them over the wall
Wow.
in the handicap stall. So they were bombing me with paper towels, but it wasn't water. So I went home. I didn't tell any. I didn't want to tell anybody, right? Because if you tell people, it just makes it worse, right? You don't want to
Yeah,
be a
it's
snitch.
different. Yeah, right.
So I'm in my room and I'm just like bawling. Like my I was shook. I didn't have any friends. I didn't think anybody gave a shit. And I had this little TV that was like local channels, and I could play my Nintendo 64 and chill. So I'm flipping through, and I see wrestling, and I stop, and it's DX on TV. I'll never forget this. It was all of DX, and they
Yes.
were in the ring, and they were doing their thing, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen." and it just like a worm got in my brain and it just lived there. And then slowly, things changed for me. I started working out. I saw pumping iron for the first time, fell in love with Arnold, started understanding fitness, and then in my head I was like, I could be that. I'm entertaining. I can talk. I can do all the. I can be part of the business. I don't know if I could ever have a match, but I could be part of the business on some level. And that never went away. It never left. I've been through all these different twists and turns and changes in my life, but wrestling never went away. So when I finally got the opportunity to at least have a shot at training, I was like, I'm gonna go for it, and here we are.
Right. And I gotta say, man, looking at you, you're built like a tank. You could take
Thanks.
I think you could take a couple bumps, just
Yeah, man, I have actually, and one of the things that I think makes me different from you know other just commentators and managers, like I like physicality. I like being strong. I like getting in there and mixing it up and getting dirty, and you know it revs me up. I do a lot of dumb stuff, and I don't know if you listen to Duke's podcast, but I told the story about the fireball to the face, and like I like taking bumps. I like getting in there and doing and crazy stuff. Like I said, I may never be the main event of WrestleMania. I may never have a match, but I can take a bump with the best of them. So
you
I'm
know
not
that
afraid of it.
yeah, it's there's a friend of mine I like to connect you with. Hey Greg Aaron, if you listen to this, I wanna hook you up with Stix because he's a good dude. He could be a potential guest in your podcast. Greg is actually a professional wrestler with cerebral palsy. He's wrestled all over. He's trained by Johnny Gargano.
I know who he is, and we
Yes.
were supposed to do a show together. And this is a crazy story. We were supposed to do a show together in South Carolina 2 weeks after my accident. We were
Oh
scheduled to work a
man.
show together, and we were actually going to be part of a program together. He's one of my inspirations. I don't, we've never worked together, but I know him. I follow his career. I'm a big fan, like all that stuff. So, he, when I saw him, like, oh, here's a guy with cerebral palsy doing this thing that I love, this thing that I want to be a part of. It just, I don't know, it revved me up. It was like, okay, it's possible. Like, let's go. Let's get it. So yeah, he's a huge inspiration for me, and I would love to talk to him for however long.
Yeah, like well, I met through him through a cameo that my friend surprised me with for one of my 30th birthday. He made a cameo. My buddy requested a cameo from him. He showed me the video and he said, "Yo, David, I heard about your podcast, the Cerebral Palsy and Fitness podcast, and I'd love to be a guest on your show." And that same day on my birthday, I got to interview him. Like it was so surreal because I was like, "Dude, I just followed you for years, and I got to interview you." And he's been and we've done motivational speaking conferences together. We've worked together, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. I love him. I hope one day we get to work together. I hope one day I get to shake his hand and share a room with him, share a locker room with him, because he really is dope and such an inspiration for me. And I think if you live your life with any sort of disability, whether it's cerebral palsy, whatever, when you see guys like me or Gregory or you or
Yeah.
anybody in the space go out and make an effort to be successful, I think you gotta take that and hold on to it, because a lot of people in the normal world, right, for lack of a better term, don't expect much of us. So we got to expect it from ourselves.
Right. And then one of the things that I mentioned to Duke is a lack of representation in wrestling in terms of people with disabilities like ourselves. That like Greg Aaron, he's been in the circuit for decades. And when has he ever had a shot for Impact Wrestling, for WWE, heck, even AEW? And he was about to join AEW until he was disqualified due to a medical issue, and he never got to make it.
I think I think there's a couple of reasons, and like I'm just gonna spout off, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but There's a couple of reasons that we don't get looks from major companies, and it comes down to two things. They don't believe, for whatever reason, we're marketable, right? Because for them, wrestling is a business. It's called the wrestling business for a reason. It's about making money. For whatever reason, they don't see us as marketable pieces of the puzzle. I disagree 100%.
Yeah, I do
You
too.
want a baby face, you want somebody to root for, you want hell, you want somebody to boo? You give me a live microphone in 3 minutes and see if I don't got somebody throwing something at me by the time I'm done. Look, Gregory Irons is a good wrestler. I mean, he's better than good. He's great. He's a great wrestler. He's been doing it a long time. He's got a mind for the business. The guy knows how to make money for himself. He's been doing it for almost 20 years. So if he has a mind for it and you know he's smart and you know he knows how to find his own value and has been doing it on the independent circuit for so long, what makes you think as a major company, if you don't put somebody like him or somebody like me in a position to be a star for you, we're not going to make you the same money we'd make ourselves?
Right. You're absolutely right on the money with that. You are absolutely correct. Um, is he someone that you if you could get in the ring at least once, would you have a match with them?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I would love to have a match. I think it's possible. I think it would be bowling shoe ugly. I think it would be a train wreck, but I'm here for it. I can sell, I can take a bump, I can work safe, I can do all those things that you're supposed to be able to do in the ring. The problem for me is I can't hit the ropes, right? So I can't, I'll
Right.
never have a high spot. I'll never, you know what I mean? Like I might be able to jump off the top rope and I'll do it. I'll drop a Macho Man elbow quicker than anybody because I'm crazy like that. But I don't know if a match for me is where my money is. And I think in the entertainment business, you have to understand your weaknesses and your value, and you have to accentuate your value and minimize your weaknesses because that's where the money is. That's how you increase your profile as a performer. For me, God gave me a quick brain and a big mouth. Right. So I have to understand that, yeah, I can be big and strong. Yeah, I can lift all this weight and my arms are 21 inches, whatever they are. And that looks great. But also, when you give me a live microphone and a story to tell, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it better than 98% of the world.
All right. It seems like a lot of these storylines and the way that they're handling the mic, it's not as convincing as it's been the last decade or 2 decades. That's my opinion. How do you feel about today's storylines and how they're kind of bringing them out?
I think different companies do things right. I think when you give a performer the ability to be an artist, right? And say, hey, this is the idea we have for you. Now come back to us with some ideas to accentuate the story itself instead of, hey, here's 3 pages of dialogue. Read this, say this, and this is what we want you to, this is what we, you give these people an opportunity to be stars because you knew they were stars already, right? Everybody that was before they were in WWE, unless they were just a college athlete and you just plucked them off the field, has been doing this for some length of time. So they understand themselves, they understand their character, they understand where they see themselves as a performer. So when you hand somebody 4 pages of dialogue and go, okay, now go cut me 7 minutes of this written script, I think it takes away from the artistry of the story. I think part of what makes wrestling great or what made wrestling great in, say, the Attitude Era or the Territory days was more freedom in the sense
Right.
that, like, I understand why there are scripts now. I understand why everything is micromanaged to the second. Corporate sponsorship, there's billions of dollars on the line. It's not what it used to be. I understand that, but you can still give your talent the ability to be talented instead of just, hey, cookie cutter this, cookie cutter that. I think when you take away freedom from an artist, it's not art anymore. It's just, it's Walmart paintings. Does that make sense?
Right, right. It's almost like speaking about Walmart, did you? I don't know if it was me and I shared this or somebody else shared this, but I shared this post of the WWE superstars if they were to work at Walmart. It showed Vince, it showed Roman, it showed John Cena as like a greeter, and like Kane, and it was pretty hilarious. It was made Somebody made it via AI, and I'm like, Vince and Seth are the only two that I see doing that. Everybody else looked really weird.
Price check on produce, pal. Jesus.
And
Oh
then you
my
had
God.
Austin too in the back,
Yeah.
and you picture him looking at Walmart in the back there in the crates, drinking some beers and
With just
doing
a
his
blue
thing.
vest on, no shirt, just a blue vest, some jean shorts.
Be like, clean up on aisle, stump him on hole on his ass. Man, um, for you being a wrestling commentator, do you kind of are you neutral most of the time, or do you like to kind of flip the switch and be a face
So
or a
I
heel at
am
certain points?
I am a genuine heel, my guy. I am 100% heel for life. I've been a color guy for most of my commentary career because initially I was paired up with a guy by the name of Matt Grafer. He goes by the Young Professor. He works for the Savannah Bananas now. He's an incredible MC, incredible announcer. He's actually one of my best friends. We just clicked. I don't know. It was weird. So I had started in wrestling ringing the bell. I was just a bell guy, right? And eventually, everybody found out I used to have a background in radio and like, hey, can you do commentary? I was like, hell yeah, I can do commentary. What the hell? Let's get it. So they put us together because we both have, incredible voices. And he actually used to listen to me on the radio. So that's
Oh,
kind of cool
awesome.
too. Like he was like, 10 years ago, you gave me wrestling tickets to a TNA show that I won on the radio show. So it's kind of like a full circle thing. We started working together and it was immediate. It was like, I don't know. It just made sense. So when he would do other shows for other companies, when I was just starting out, I would literally say to him, hey, can I just ride with you? Can I just go? And like they can use me for whatever. I'll run
Just shadow
lights.
him.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even shadow. It was just he was on the road a lot and he didn't want to be in the car by himself. And we like the same things. We listen to the same music. We like the same movies. We had a lot of similar mindsets when it came to everything. So we started riding together almost immediately. And almost every weekend, we were doing shows for different companies all over the place. And I would just show up and be like, hey, I'm a business. I'll run your lights. I'll run your sound. I'm a DJ. This is what I know. This is what I bring to the table. And they would be like, well, who the hell is this Make a Wish kid? And then they would make me do something, whatever it was. And then at the end of the show, the promoter would come up and go, hey, man, we hear you do commentary and we hear you do pretty well. You want to work for us? And that's literally how I started just building a resume in wrestling. And it was because he was like, yeah, man, come on. And we would stop at Bucky's and we would get treats and we would fill up on energy drinks and beef jerky and we would just go to these shows weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend. And sometimes it was two shows a day, and sometimes it was two shows on a Saturday and a show on Sunday, and we would just go. And that's been that way for God almost 5 years now.
It's something that you found that brings you peace, in a
Oh,
sense, that
absolutely.
helps you. It's your home away from home.
It's my home. It's not even my home away from home. It's my home. I've never it's the most exhilarating moment when you walk out of a curtain in front of a live crowd and you know they're going to give you a reaction because you know you're good enough to get it. It's not that you deserve it. It's not because you're there. It's not because, hey, I'm a performer, so these people are going to boo me because I want them to boo me or cheer me because I want them to cheer me. They're going to do it because I'm good enough to pull it out of you. It's psychology, right? It's the way you walk, it's the way you look, it's the way you dress. If you see any of my shows now, I wear suits everywhere I go. I wear, and they're loud and they're ridiculous. And I look like a crazy preacher from, a Baptist church because that's who Stix is. Stix is a strip club DJ who is loud and obnoxious and doesn't care about anything but money and winning. Right. And that's the character that I portray when I do commentary. And that's who I am as a manager. If I work with you as a talent, we're going to win and I'm going to cheat to do it. And I don't care if you like it. I don't care what you think. Your opinion is irrelevant to me unless you're filling my pockets. And that's who Stix is. And then when you understand your character, when you understand where you're trying to go, it makes it much easier for you to walk out of that curtain, feel that rush, and go, I got him.
Your look when I saw your picture, I'm like, he's got that Marty Scroll kind of vibe to him.
I love
The
Martin
the
Scrolla.
suit and
He's
everything and the sticks.
Yeah,
I was like, that's a Marty Scroll vibe right there.
yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's a big compliment. I think for me, wrestling has been, first of all, to be in the business and to be considered good in the business is such an incredible compliment because as a kid, right, you watch it on TV and go, I want to do that. I think I could do that. But how the hell is somebody like me going to do that? And I'll tell you right now, I've had a lot of stops and starts in my wrestling journey as a performer. When I was 19 years old, I called a wrestling school whose head trainer is a Hall of Famer. I won't mention his name. We spoke on the phone. He told me in no uncertain terms that no one would ever want to work with a cripple and that I shouldn't even try and that I should just be a fan. And he hung up on me. So, maybe I held on to that for a little longer than I should have, but, here we are. I'm 37. I've been doing this now for almost 5 years. I've done close to 400 shows with 30 different companies and worked with some of the biggest stars in the history of the business. And, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a major company and you need a voice for your product and you need somebody with a personality, you're looking at them.
Yeah, it's about selling yourself, putting yourself out there, and obviously you're doing that.
I think you can't be afraid, right? Like, and the same thing for you. Like you started doing this because it was the pandemic and you wanted to tell your story and you wanted to, and here you are 5 years later and holy shit, like you've had some great guests and I mean,
Yeah,
now you
I mean,
got
I've
me.
had, I've had yourself, I've had Duke, I've had Olympic athletes, I had Greg on the show. Um, and I've also shared with people that I was a three-sport athlete, former three-time state champion in Florida in cycling. This is back when I was younger.
Oh,
And
that's awesome, dude.
yeah, I would have made the Paralympics, but I retired due to injuries. But I
You
still I
said I
still keep in
retired due to
shape
injuries.
and I still work out. So yeah, it was it was a lot of because I get a lot of knee strains and spasms, and so I was dealing with a lot of that towards the end of my career. So I was like, you know what? My mind's gonna last longer than my body. And sure they were gonna offer me a lot of money, sponsorship. They were gonna offer me a six-figure contract to compete professionally. And I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? With the way my body is now and how what I've been dealing with, it's not worth it. So I turned it down. People looked at me like, dude, are you crazy? You turned down a six-figure contract for your it's my health. Your health's more important than money.
Yeah, no doubt. I think what other sports have you done?
I did football, baseball, and I was a three-time state champion in cycling.
Oh, that's
Riding my bike,
awesome, dude.
you know, bike
That's
riding.
awesome, dude. Are you still, I mean, like, do you still ride recreationally or are you done?
Oh yes, I still ride recreationally, and I still, do a lot of weightlifting and stuff, and I keep myself in pristine shape. Always thinking to myself, I might be 32, and I feel like I could do it one more time. It's in the back of my mind. I always keep saying, "Do it one more time. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it." And I'm like, no, I don't think I should. I'm like Edge and Christian right now. It's like, should I come out of retirement and do it, entertain the fans, or should I keep it shut?
Well, man, I think you gotta make what you said your health is more important, and I think that's the way to go because you only get one body, you only get one shot, and you can't just throw it away because somebody threw you a stack of money. Although it is really fun to count money. That's one of my favorite things to do is counting money. It's my favorite.
God,
But
this is accurate.
health is really important. Yeah, bro. Um, I think for us, for anybody, sports is so important, right? When
Oh
I
yeah.
first started lifting weights, I looked at it as a power lifter. I wanted to be as strong as possible because my one of my football coaches was like, "Man, you just got that strength in you. You just got to lift heavy and be big." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I did that for a while. I just as strong as I could be, as big as I could get, I would just be. But after high school, I was like, "Well, what do I do now?" Because like you can't just be a power lifter and make money. That's especially a gimpy power lifter and make money. It's not a thing. So I found wheelchair bodybuilding and I started to, sculpt my body instead of just lifting heavy weights. And, you know, bodybuilding was another thing for me that was like a really cool, hyper focused thing. But it's also really hard on your body, man. It kills your joints. The diet is not necessarily the healthiest thing in the world. It's you're depleting yourself of all your nutrients to look as good as you possibly can on stage for one day for 10 minutes, and then you're covered in fake tan and oil and you smell weird, and it was fun and exhilarating and all those things and like being on stage and but it just wasn't. I'm not made to be a bodybuilder. I'm just not. That's just not who I am. That's not my body shape. I'm a bigger guy. I'm supposed to be, barrel chested and big armed and have big shoulders and I had to come to terms with all that. And I think um after competing, I did 5, 6 years on the circuit. 2008, I was number two in the heavyweight class in the country.
Wow.
Um, I've been in Flex magazine a couple of times and I had some mild success as a bodybuilder, but like it just there's a lot more politics behind the scenes. I got disqualified one year because I had posted a video of me training, but I wasn't in a wheelchair. And according to the governing body of wheelchair bodybuilding, you
Wow.
have to be in a wheelchair 24/7 for it to
Messed up.
count. And so they disqualified me from competition. And I was like, well, do you want me to send all my trophies back? Like, how do we like? They're like, nah, you just can't compete anymore. So, um, so that kind of put a sour taste in my mouth when it comes to bodybuilding, just because it's one of those things where you're trying to make yourself the best you can be
Right.
and have somebody backbite you and like go behind your back and say, this guy cheats. Like essentially they were calling me a cheater. And I was like,
Yeah,
nah,
and
that's
it's not like you were doing a steroid or anything like that. Just you were
and
just
that's the
training.
thing is like
You
in
were just training.
bodybuilding, steroids are definitely not cheating. You know what I mean? But like if you're a guy in a wheelchair sometimes and not all the time, apparently that's an unfair advantage, which is fine. It's their party, it's their rules, it's their house. I'm good. But I got a chance when I moved to Chicago for a couple of years to play sled hockey for a couple seasons. And sled hockey, my friend, is a sport you should try. If you like moving fast, if you like, being physical and hitting people and sled hockey is the game, my dude. It is bumper cars on ice. It is freaking dope.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Oh my guy. Let me tell you, brother. And I was a defenseman, right? Because I'm big. So they're like, all right, so you just stay by the net and hit people. So literally my whole job was literally just skate around and hit anybody with the puck, which was great. The only penalty I ever got was for roughing because I hit somebody a little too hard, but whatever. It's fine. No, that was cool. But then when I moved back to Florida, I was like, if I'm gonna do wrestling, if I'm gonna genuinely give wrestling a shot, I have to do it now. So, you know, I found a school close to my house. He was like, "Yeah, come on down. We'll take a look at you and see what you can do." And dude, I remember the first time I rolled in the ring. I crawled under the bottom rope and I rolled in and kind of just like felt it, and took a bump and man, it was my house. It was my house. I was like, okay, This is what it is. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I know that sounds crazy, especially for guys like us, but
Yeah.
dude, give me a wrestling ring every
Sometimes
day.
you find that peace, and that peace for you was wrestling.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Well, and then you've accomplished all this, and then of course you mentioned off air a little earlier. Then you had a struggle with an accident recently, right? You had a car accident. You have had to deal with that too.
Yeah,
All right.
so back in July, I was leaving my neighborhood and I got hit on the driver's side uh, by another vehicle. In the accident, at the scene, there was some confusion with my insurance, and they were under the impression I didn't have insurance. I actually did,
Yeah.
but my vehicle was insured through my bank, and I had my own personal insurance. So because of that confusion, I'm still in a situation where I'm renting a car week to week, and this was back in July. So it's been a few months now, and it's been a taxing experience to say the least. Now we're in a situation where the car has been deemed as a total loss, and we're
Wow.
trying to get the insurance company to reevaluate and deem it a total loss so that I can, pursue getting a new vehicle, a more stable form of transportation. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I started a GoFundMe to try and help
Yeah.
raise funds to pay for the rental and do all that crazy stuff because it is what it
Right.
is.
Right.
Life is expensive, but yeah, man, it's been a messy few months for sure, and it's cost me in bookings, in mental peace, in
Right.
peace of mind and sleep and all that. So yeah, it's been a ride, but I'm
Slowly
back
getting
on the
there.
up.
Right. Slowly getting back
Yeah,
at it. And if you
I'm
guys
back
want
on
to
the uptick.
donate, I'll definitely put the link in the description so you guys can click that link. Check out his incredible journey and really help him get back up. Because sometimes you need those people. You need good people to help you get back up. You know.
Yeah, and I'm not the best at asking for help. I don't know if it's
I'm
stubbornness
the
or
same way
pride.
too. Like I don't really.
I think it comes from us knowing that in the outside world we're seen as weaker already,
Yeah.
right? So like
Yeah.
going out and saying, "Hey, I am vulnerable. I am weak. I have this problem. I do need this help." I think for us is a little harder. Doesn't make it right or that we can't. We just need to be less afraid or less prideful of saying, hey, I need this, and that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, if you could donate, that'd be great. If I have my own merch. I have some Stix shirts and the like available at a company called T Public, and it's just tpublic.com/stixfix. It's STIX fix. It's really cool. I got like 8 designs up there, and it's a cool website. It's made primarily for artists, and you just upload your art, and then they do all the printing and shipping for you. It's really cool.
So for you being that what you so with everything you've accomplished, we've got to know who Styx is on this show and what he represents. For you, what is a legacy that you would like to leave, you know,
Whew.
when you decide to be like, I'm ready to hang this up, or I'm ready to hang my boots. I'm ready to just ride off into, the sunset. What kind of legacy do you want to leave?
Brother, I don't think I'm ever gonna ride off into the sunset. That's just not who I am as a person. I'm gonna go out like a firework. Um, I think that's more me, but legacy, I think that's heavy, my dude. I would like to be. They say that if your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. So let's just shoot for it here. I would like to be the first ever Hall of Fame wrestling personality with cerebral palsy. I would like to be somebody that people can look at and go, yeah, man, he had all this stuff, but there he is being great. And like I say all the time, all I ever wanted for my life is respect and greatness, right? And they both are things that you earn every day. right? Even when you don't feel like it, you got to get up and you got to go to work and you got to work out and you got to try to find the right food and drink enough water and do all those things that you're supposed to do for yourself, right? For your health, for your mind. And some days, man, like like some days you just wake up and your body doesn't work right and you're shaky and shit doesn't feel good, but you still got to go. You still got to try to get on that treadmill for 10 minutes and you still got to try and, get a sweat in before work so you feel half human but you got to do it. And that's just, I think, for us, especially just talking to you, I know we're a similar mindset when it comes to how life is. You just do it. You just do. It's not even a choice. People ask me, all the, well, how do you do all, you just do it. You just do it. You can't be scared. You're going to be scared anyway. So are you going to be scared and bored? Or are you going to be scared and try to do some stuff? You might fall on your face. You might cut yourself. You might get a little bloody. But let me tell you something. You learned, you grew, and you got a little tougher. So,
And you got your ass back up.
damn right.
Hey, brother, it's been an absolute pleasure, an absolute honor. I hope we're able to work some more together. Because I love to pick your brain a bit more. And I feel like you have a lot to contribute in this society, and you've done that. You've done so much for society, and you still have a lot more to go.
Thank you very much, my friend. It's been an absolute pleasure. Anytime you want me around, just say so, my guy. You know how to find me.
All right.
Also, uh, um, all of my social media, if you want to like, follow, subscribe, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok is all at StixMan92. That's STIX Man92. And then Facebook is just Ken Stix Ray. But I'm everywhere, man. So find me, like, share, reach out, say hi, tell me to go fuck myself, whatever. I don't care.
And I will share all the socials at the description. If you guys want to listen to this show, you guys can go on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and every other major podcasting outlet out there. Sticks, has been a pleasure, brother. And like I said, we're making a huge difference in this world, but what really matters is we get up every day and we keep on moving.
Amen, my friend. It's been a pleasure.
All right, well, until next time, everybody, be safe and keep on moving.